It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com. Follow me on social media at Randy Wang Radio and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. All year, we've been detailing the problems going on at the Los Angeles County Probation Department, including what's going on at Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall, which was in the news twice last week, because first, a contracted tutor that served the students at Los Padrinos was busted for trying to bring in 175 pills. Pills of what? Gee, I wonder what. And then just a couple days later, there was an incident where 5 people, some staffers, some children, overdosed inside Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall. A few months ago, you had this bizarre indictment by Rob Bonta, who claimed that over 36 members of the LA County Probation Department were engaging in gladiator-style boy fights with some of the inmates. That seems a little strange. If you've heard some of the probation officers that have called into this show to explain their side of the story, they're not allowed to interfere with the several practically adult gang members that run that joint. And when they get into fights, they can't fight back and they can't really do anything. You have members of the probation department that were field deputies, the ones checking on people on probation, on parole, all of that. Well, they got thrown into the juvenile hall because there was a massive staffing shortage because the deputies inside Los Padrinos were getting assaulted by the inmates and they couldn't do anything about it. And so you have a lot of them on disability, a lot of them in a class action lawsuit against their employer, and there has been nonstop scandal after what's going on at Los Padrinos. I'm sure you've heard that the state regulatory board wants to shut it down and send the kids where exactly? You have all of the activist groups like the Youth Justice Coalition who pack LA County Board of Supervisors meetings every time there's anything about probation up, saying they need to close the facility and put everyone into community-based settings, which is code for, hey, I have a nonprofit and give me that money that you were giving the probation department and I'll house them. But I found this interesting because this was sent to me by a probation officer who will remain anonymous. They sent an open letter to the Board of Supervisors with a very specific demand as to what they say is the root of all the problems, at least some of the problems, at Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall and the LA County Probation Department in general. This was published by our friends over at 2urbangirls.com, and it says, and I'm going to read the letter in full, because this comes as a joint letter from the men and women of the Los Angeles County Probation Department who cannot speak up and put their name to something because they know they'll be retaliated against. And you get a lot of people that have worked into this department for 2.5 decades that don't want to lose their pension. It would be nice if, all the whistleblower laws in California covered California employees, but apparently that's not the case. So, here is the letter that was signed by the men and women of the Los Angeles County Probation Department. LA County Probation Department in crisis. Board supervisors must act now or face a national scandal. The demands for justice grow as the probation collapses under failed leadership. Los Angeles County's probation system is in free fall, and the Board of Supervisors' inaction is enabling its destruction. Under the Chief Probation Officer, Chief Viera Rosa, the department has devolved into operational chaos, legal liability, and systemic betrayal of the communities it serves. If the board does not immediately terminate Viera Rosa, they will face unprecedented legal consequences, a federal takeover, and a nationwide scandal exposing gross negligence at the highest levels of Los Angeles County government. That's a high bar. We've seen a lot of gross negligence in a lot of different departments of LA County government. Isn't it interesting? Didn't Viera Rosa try to resign and try to say he was retiring, and then the Board of Supervisors wouldn't let him? The next paragraph. A leader who refuses to lead. On November 14th, 2024, Probation Oversight Commissioner S.A. Jackson delivered a blistering commendation of Viera Rosa's absence, incompetence, and outright rejection of accountability. Quote, "The series of failures and the findings of unsuitability only speak to how unfit he is as a leader. Him not being here today is a rejection of himself as a leader. The bare minimum is showing up. I find his absence disrespectful to every stakeholder imaginable." And you figure the head of probation want to show up at those oversight meetings because those oversight boards are packed with activists that want to abolish all carceral systems, including juvenile hall. And when you think about Los Angeles and how lax we are when it comes to our juveniles, realize the only ones that are in there are the worst of the worst that are awaiting trial. Because if they're not a total danger to society, they would be released back to their parents or a guardian or some other situation. But if they're actually put into that hall, it's because they did something real dangerous. And something else that people don't like to talk about is part of the reason there are so many dangerous people inside Los Padrinos is because George Gascon, the 4 years he was DA, refused to charge any juveniles in adult court for it didn't matter what they did. So you have murderers in there. You have murderers that can be in there until they're 26 and then they're aged out and then they get out. So that's going to be fun in a couple of years. Viera Rosa's chronic absenteeism is just the tip of the iceberg. His leadership, or lack thereof, has triggered operational chaos, missed court deadlines, botched deployments, and neglected protocols endangering public safety, a mass staff exodus, officers are overworked, abandoned, and demoralized, fueling record turnover, and legal time bombs, federal lawsuits, DOJ investigations, and receivership threats loom as mismanagement escalates. Yeah, I think that's a foregone conclusion at this point. The feds are going to have to take over this. It's going to be a nightmare. Now, part of the reason that the staff are so furious at the leadership of Viera Rosa is the holdover policy. This is really tough. When you work inside probation and you work inside the juvenile hall, you've got to, put in your cell phone in a locked area before you go into the safe facility, and you have a scheduled 8-hour shift. But because the staffing shortage is so bad, your supervisor can call you and say, yeah, you can't leave. I'm sure you have a doctor's appointment or you have a child from childcare or doesn't matter what you have. You have to stay and you've got to do mandatory overtime. That gets real old, real fast, especially when you feel like you're in an unsafe situation and you feel that management does not have your back. Let's continue here. This is the open letter from the men and women of the Los Angeles County Probation Department to the LA County Board of Supervisors, telling them they need to fire the Chief Probation Officer, Viera Rosa. The next part reads, cronyism, shadow operatives, and a system rigged to fail. Viera Rosa has weaponized emergency hiring to install unqualified allies from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDCR, and San Bernardino Probation into six-figure roles, bypassing merit-based systems. Okay, that's, wow. Okay, this is some new stuff. So we were giving this department emergency powers to increase hiring. That was the state of emergency that Catherine Barger and Janice Hahn put in back in December. And what happened? Well, they decided to start hiring a whole bunch of outside people to the upper ranks and refusing to promote from within. Gee, I wonder why the employees are so pissed off. Among the allegations here, they hired an acting chief deputy with no probation experience, recently promoted despite an active lawsuit against the state, who has also failed to appear before the Board of Supervisors while overseeing juvenile probation. You know, this is true with so many different aspects of Los Angeles County government, but this county is too large. A county of 10 million people does not function properly. And I don't really see a way out of so many different structural issues that we have with so many departments, is that everything is overtaxed and there's too many things to have to worry about because this county is massive. Why is a quarter of the state's population in this one county? Why does that make any sense? I don't know. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me. I think the county should be split up into 5 separate counties. An invisible chief of staff with no strategic plan, now angling for the CPO role despite multiple equity complaints while simultaneously pursuing elected office, while orchestrating purges of experienced leaders unwilling to engage with youth or frontline duties. So they're bringing in a whole bunch of new people that don't have any experience. Once again, they're going after the people that have been there 20 or 30 years. Let's keep going with some of the allegations of cronyism going on at the LA County Probation Department. A deputy director of internal affairs that was imported from CDCR, lacking probation experience, yet handed authority over critical investigations. Yeah, this sounds like he got a bunch of his friends promoted with all the money that was supposed to be used to hire new people. They hidden consultants paying exorbitant fees, absent from official organization charts, operating without transparency. Now yet another CDCR operative is being positioned to take control of probation dollars as the chief financial officer, further entrenching an unaccountable shadow network. Meanwhile, secretive shadow teams operate without oversight, undermining trust, while Viera Rosa avoids emails, potentially violating the destruction of government records law. The Board of Supervisors' moment of reckoning. The board must act now or face a catastrophic fallout, including federal intervention because the DOJ is deploying additional monitors. If Chief Viera Rosa stays, receivership is inevitable, stripping the board of its authority and humiliation. I think that needs to happen at this point. A nationwide scandal, whistleblowers are prepared to expose the illegal diversion of AB 109 funds under Viera Rosa's unsigned approvals. It is a fact that he has not attended any of the public safety realignment team meetings with the county and mandatory chaired meetings as chief probation officer. He also does not have any strategic plan meetings and remains a dictator leader in the worst established work silo within LA County probation history. Disabled officers have been forced to burn leave in a pending class action lawsuit. You have officers that have been physically assaulted by the inmates inside Los Padrinos that are out on disability. And even though this state has the best employment laws you can imagine, the people who are working in management in the probation department are saying, no, you've got to use your vacation days now, even though you're injured on the job. Yeah, this county is going to be sued out of oblivion for a million reasons. This is just one of them. Sacramento's BSCC is exploiting LA's chaos to seize control of probation statewide. So BSCC, that's the state board. That's the one that you keep hearing about in the local news when they say the state board says the conditions in Los Padrinos are unsuitable. And what that usually means, it's you picture like leaking pipes and mold, and no. The conditions that they're talking about is the staffing shortage, because again, there's a bunch of violent inmates and nobody wants to work there for a reason. Also, you should know, the BSCC, the state board, well, the people that get appointed to that board come from the Youth Justice Coalition and other nonprofits that have a vested interest in destroying the system of probation. Other political consequences. Every supervisor will be personally implicated for enabling this disaster. In any other county, that could damage them. But this is low voter participation Los Angeles, where the average person does not pay attention to what's going on with so many things, including what's going on in the probation department. The solution? Leadership from within. The board does not need another outsider. The men and women of probation demand an inside leader, a trusted reformer with a proven recognition plan to stop receivership, a track record of dismantling bureaucratic barriers, the credibility to restore integrity, transparency, and hope. But the board must act before it's too late. The board's not hiring from within. They don't get anything for that. If they get rid of this guy, they're going to install somebody that will answer to their every whim, and you have members on that board that are aligned with the same nonprofits that want to get rid of the entire carceral system. And I'm not here to say the carceral system is perfect, but what exactly do you want to do with the violent teenage gang members that this county, this lenient county, has deemed are not safe to put out back on the streets? So, the final warning, fire Viera Rosa now. This is not just a crisis. It's an existential threat to Los Angeles County's justice system. The men and women of probation demand an immediate termination or resignation of Guillermo Viera Rosa, a federal audit of all diverted AB 109 funds, and the 28,000 unserved clients abandoned in the field. That's how many people are on probation in LA County that no one's even checking on them because all the field deputies got sent to juvie, which is a completely different job. Installation of leadership that understands the importance of public safety in the field of probation and will build a future that Los Angeles will be proud for. The clock is ticking. The nation is watching. Will the board finally lead, or they go down with the sinking ship? Signed, the men and women of the Los Angeles County Probation Department. Well, they've made their case. Is it going to make a difference? Based on the current makeup of the Board of Supervisors, I don't think so, unfortunately. I think they like Viera Rosa being in there because he can be the punching bag and he can be the fall guy when this department does go into receivership. And they could say, hey, we told him to get his act together, and then when he didn't, that's on him. Ultimately, much like Gavin Newsom and Ricardo Lara with the insurance crisis, it's better to have a fall guy that you can put the blame on when everything hits the fan than to fix the problem. And unfortunately for the county, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits from this, from the nonviolent inmates that get assaulted, and of course, the officers that have been getting assaulted left and right, and all the unfair work practices and illegal work practices that we have detailed on this show. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. I felt it was my duty to read that because it definitely seems like this is a department in the county that has a cry for help, and nobody really is paying enough attention to what's going on down there. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. That's how I got that last story. If you've got tips, if you've got comments, send them all to randykabc@gmail.com. And if you've ever missed any episodes of this show, because you might not be in the car every day at 5 o'clock or at work every day at 5 o'clock, well, you can get the podcast of this show several ways, kabc.com/newsblitz. Search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to our show yesterday on Karen Bass's phony LASA numbers. We did a show last week on fireworks with the drone surveillance and increased fines, Gavin Newsom dodging questions on the insurance crisis, and, of course, the Santa Monica Entertainment Zone experiment. Drinking on the promenade. Yay! Hey, look at this. How exciting is this? I got something for you right now. 790 KABC welcomes Swift Nation, the #1 unofficial live band Taylor sing-along with special guest Bad Guy Billy at the Pacific Amphitheater at the OC Fair on August 16th. It's all part of the Toyota Summer Concert Series. Tickets are on sale now at packamp.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show, and all concert tickets include admission to the OC Fair. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com. You can give me a follow on social media at Randy Wang Radio and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. I'm sure you're all aware that last week I was not in Los Angeles. In fact, from July 4th until July 11th, I was in beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I go to Santa Fe for a lot of reasons. My wife's family has a house there, so it's a great place to vacation to because the lodging is free and the flights there are fairly cheap and we can get them with points. The food is incredible. The drinks are great. They got a thing called the Margarita Trail. But specifically, we went to Santa Fe on the 4th of July as a statement that we refuse to be in Southern California, specifically the San Fernando Valley, on the 4th of July. Because I don't want to be here a couple days before, a couple days after, as every jackass in the valley that bought illegal fireworks needs to unload them at all hours of the night. And I thought, okay, if I get back on July 11th, that's a whole week later. People have gotten this out of their system. We're going to be great now. Things will be quiet. And I won't have to panic because my small 7-pound dog won't be freaking out over the sounds of explosions in our neighborhood. Last night, as my wife and I are preparing dinner, we're sitting down on the couch. The dog is chilling out. The cat is chilling out. When all of a sudden, I start hearing in the back of my ear the loudest popping noise over and over again. It almost sounded like I had every single burner on my stove with Jeffy Pop. Just pop, 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 over and over and over again. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Is the washing machine broken? Is the oven broken? What's going on? So I don't see anything wrong in my kitchen. Don't see anything wrong in my laundry room. But I opened the front door, and what do I see? And this is now, 10 days after July 4th? I see somebody putting in the middle of the intersection on my suburban neighborhood street a giant thing of fireworks lighting up the neighborhood. I was so mad for two reasons. One, I was mad that they did that. And two, I was mad that I left my phone on my couch so I didn't get a chance to videotape it because, I don't know, maybe that could have been used as evidence. I mean, we're doing that now, right? The surveillance video. So I turned to my wife and say, oh yeah, it was some jackass lighting fireworks 10 days after the 4th of July. And then it was done. But I opened back up the door just to see, okay, who did that? There's not that many children in this neighborhood. There's definitely not that many teenagers. This neighborhood has a lot of older people. And I can hear a voice out in the distance now that it's dark again because the fireworks are off. And that voice is a little boy and a little girl saying, "Can we do more, Daddy? Can we do more?" They must have been between 5 and 8 years old. Can't blame them for this. They didn't buy the fireworks. They didn't light the fireworks. But there's a jackass, parent of small children in this neighborhood who is lighting off illegal fireworks in the middle of a street. Great example for the kids, huh? And that is why I don't like to spend time in Los Angeles on the 4th of July. Because you realize just how many, especially this year of all years, with all the fires that we had, with the conditions that we know persist, how rude and selfish and uncaring so many people are. Now, it's what, maybe 1 out of every 10 houses, but that's still 10% of the population buying fireworks. That's 10% of the population that are straight up a-holes. And I have no tolerance for it anymore. Screw that guy. How dare you? It's not just me that is seriously pissed off about fireworks a week and a half later. In Sacramento, people are still launching them off at all hours of the night, and the neighbors have had enough. And this is with the increased enforcement. For more, here's CBS Sacramento.
Fireworks frustrations in Sacramento. It's been more than a week since the 4th of July, and for some neighborhoods, the booms haven't stopped. Residents say they're losing sleep and patience as illegal fireworks keep lighting up the night. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for the CBS 13 News at 10. I'm Madison Keevy. Your reporter covering Sacramento County, Tori Apodaca, joins us live from the Green Haven neighborhood near Gloria Drive and Frank Seymour Park, getting answers on how the city is cracking down.
And again, this is a week later.
Madison, this is where neighbors tell us those fireworks were getting launched from last night. You can see the mess left behind, those booms lasting for 15 minutes.
Hey, it sounds like my front yard yesterday.
No, it's not the 4th of July.
And then it just kept going and going and going. I was like, man, when is it ever going to stop?
But it was a show Fabris Scott had an unwanted front seat to from his home in South Sacramento.
We had our granddaughter. She doesn't like the loud noise, so we had to cover her ears.
By the way, I'm at the point now, I think this state needs to take a real hard stance if we want to send the message that fireworks are illegal. And I know this might be heavy-handed, but I don't care. I'm so sick of these things. I think no more official fireworks shows. Go do drones or laser shows or something else. I think if you're going to ban fireworks in the state of California, you ban it for everybody, including Disneyland and Dodger Stadium. I'm that much of a crank on this issue. They do nothing but infuriate me.
Where Scott tells us the fireworks were being lit on the bridge above Gloria Drive. We counted close to 1,000 empty firework shells between these scraps and the cases left behind below at Frank Seymour Park.
This is after the 4th of July.
It didn't sound like shots, gunshots to me.
I showed the video of the blast to Danny Marshall, who lives about half a mile away.
Okay, I didn't.
Every night. This neighborhood has to deal with this every night. I remember, and it was really bad, and I understand people were frustrated during COVID, and they wanted a way to go back against Ferrer and Gavin and everything. But in 2020 and 2021, it was like constant boom, boom, boom every night in between Memorial Day and Labor Day. I'm just so over it.
Okay, I didn't see anything in the sky.
He says the large trees around his home blocked his view, but it didn't deafen the loud sound.
It's one of those things where it's fun for you. You lit a thing and you made it go boom and it went into the sky. And every single other person in the surrounding area that's not watching what you're watching, they think a bomb just went off or a gun just went off or who knows. The transformer exploded. It's so selfish.
But it didn't deafen the loud sound of the booms.
It's a dry time of the year, so that concerns me.
Sac Fire tells me it had its largest crackdown on illegal fireworks ever this year, issuing 65 citations.
Not enough.
Starting at $1,000 between July 2nd and July 5th. with the fine starting at $10,000 for illegal fireworks set at parks, schools, or near critical infrastructure.
And I really thought that story of those fines going out would do something, but here we are. It's not even the next season. It's just a couple days later, and people are still launching these things.
But these large-scale patrols weren't out when this show was popping off over a week after the holiday.
I'm pretty sure it woke my neighbors up because they're in their 90s. So
neighbors frustrated by the fireworks, hoping this one was the big finale.
I mean, it didn't hurt nobody. No cars were coming by, thank goodness.
To the dangerous illegal shows that they say are becoming all too common. So SAC Fire says even though those big patrols aren't happening anymore, it does want people to continue reporting these types of illegal fireworks activities. And if you think you got away with popping them off around the 4th of July, you may want to think again. SAC Fire tells me it is still going through its drone footage and sending out fines.
Yeah, that's great for the people that did it on 4th of July, but you don't have the drones out for the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th of July.
Tori,
I really thought, oh, you know what? I found a nice little neighborhood that has very quiet people. And if I heard fireworks, it definitely wasn't on my street. Now I know it is. And it was the parent of small children. What a jackass.
Tori, I think back to the 4th of July, there were so many of those in the sky. So I think the question is, how much did the city end up making on these illegal fireworks fines?
By the way, if you're wondering if I was going to confront that person, of course not. That's not my thing. I'm not the guy that does that. I text my neighbor with the baseball bat and maybe he'll do something about it.
SAC Fire tells me that with some of these incidents, it was giving out around $20,000 to $25,000 fines per location. So we're talking about upwards of $100,000 in total, Madison.
Wow, great stuff, Tori. Thanks for that.
So that's what's going on in Sacramento, as here we are a week and a half out from the 4th of July, and still people are lighting these things constantly into the sky. Hey, that rhymed. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Linda writes in on fireworks. Randy, I agree with you 99% of the time, but not on fireworks. It's an American tradition, and being America's 250th, I hope we see big fireworks celebrations. I agree they only need to be set off on the 4th of July and, of course, Disneyland and baseball games during the summer. And those who violate the law shall be punished severely by fines. Local departments can spend more time and efforts cracking down on illegal fireworks and interstate checkpoints in July. But come on, drone shows are great for the first or second time viewing, but nothing like seeing, hearing, and feeling the beautiful pops of a good fireworks show on the 4th, you curmudgeon. I fully admit it, Linda. On this subject, I am way out of my age range. I am an old crank when it comes to fireworks. Why? Because I have to look into the eyes of my little Chihuahua mix Rita when she starts shaking uncontrollably because she thinks the world is ending. And anything I can do to make sure that doesn't happen, I do it, including letting y'all have all your fireworks celebrations as I go somewhere quiet. But then I come back a week and a half later and some jackass is launching them in the intersection in front of my house. I'm a little irritated about that. But I respect that you love fireworks and I respect that you love the tradition. And I admit I'm a crank on this issue. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. For a very long time, we have known that Karen Bass likes to talk to her constituents like she's a kindergarten teacher.
If you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, let's get help for you.
But have you ever wondered what it sounds like when Karen Bass is talking to a crowd of actual small children? It goes up a notch. Here is Karen Bass talking to a bunch of kids at the Play LA presser.
Well, I just want you to know, if you haven't been introduced to them already, we have 2 Olympians who are right here, 2 Paralympians. One who won the silver medal.
Oh, no. Is she doing the Oprah?
One who won the silver medal.
She's just getting a little extra jovial, and the pitch is about to go up, too.
Arel Middleton, come on, come forward so everybody can see you.
Politicians doing crowd work is so cringe.
Arel Middleton, come forward so everybody can see you. Come on.
These kids have no idea what's going on or what they're supposed to be applauding.
Come on, give a round of applause to our Olympian. Wave.
What? What did she just do?
Our Olympian. Wave.
Wave? She's telling the kids to give them a round of applause and then wave?
Come on, give a round of applause to our Olympian. Wave.
It's good to know when she's not actively destroying the city of Los Angeles. She's just a completely ridiculous person. Thank you all so much for listening to this show. If you ever miss an episode of the show, kabc.com/newsblitz is where you go. Hey, give me a follow on social media at Randy Wang Radio. See all my picks from my week in Santa Fe. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.